It's just medicine. It's just a plant.
This is not our grandparents' marijuana anymore.
It's time to act.
Virginia set to make history as the first state in the South to legalize marijuana.
This is a product people are using. They're using it today. They've been using it for years.
You came close to losing your life?
But the fierce debate over the political fallout still far from over.
When people say you can't die from marijuana, I said that's just not true.
Tonight, how legalization plays into the year of racial reckoning, how soon you can start using, and will criminal records be wiped clean?
I want to see true expungements. That's my biggest fight.
Why charge me, or why still have it on my record if you're going to tax it, if you're going to regulate it?
Marijuana has become a cash crop that rivals tobacco, even right here in Virginia.
Join us as we investigate how and why lawmakers chose 2021 as the year to give the green light to light up. Pot for Profit, a 13 News Now special, starts now.
Good evening, I'm Dan Kennedy. Virginia will soon join 15 other states and the District of Columbia in legalizing marijuana. The Commonwealth was once so conservative that progressive legislation like this seemed like pie in the sky. But the political landscape is changing in Virginia, and now so are the laws. The Democratic-controlled House and Senate decriminalized marijuana last year, and those same lawmakers took it a step further this past weekend as they narrowly passed a bill to legalize marijuana in 2024. Not a single Republican in either chamber voted in favor. Now all that's left is for the Democratic Governor Ralph Northam to sign the bill into law. It's one he supports, although there is evidence he may not be completely satisfied with how it's written today. His office told me in a statement this week that there's still a lot of work ahead and that the governor looks forward to continuing to improve this legislation. So it's possible he amends the bill, which as of today would establish a regulatory agency this summer. It would legalize possession of pot up to an ounce beginning January 1st, 2024. That's also when retail sales could begin. That means cannabis shops popping up on a street near you. And yes, the product would be taxed, possibly raking in $300 million a year in tax revenue, according to one estimate. But while lawmakers are thinking green, some health advocates are seeing red.
I think we're going to see a significant increase in accidents. Number two, I think we're going to see a slow but steady increase in mental disease among young people. I think we're going to see heavy users increase.
Dr. James Avery from Charlottesville is becoming a bit of an expert in the cannabis field. He recently wrote a book on the topic, and in January he co-wrote a letter to Virginia lawmakers urging them to vote no on legalization, writing, "The cost of weed is too high." But that warning did not sway enough votes. Now, this special is called Pot for Profit, so let's talk money for a minute. Marijuana sales will be subject to a 21% tax. Individual cities and counties can also tax retailers an extra 3%. So there's a good chunk of money to be made on legal pot sales. And where would that money go? Well, most of the tax revenue, 40%, will go towards funding pre-K for at-risk 3- and 4-year-olds. Another 30% would go into what's called an equity reinvestment fund. That would provide scholarships for historically marginalized children in underserved communities. It would also award grants to boost workforce development, job training, and reentry services. And then a quarter of that revenue is earmarked for addiction prevention and treatment services. The remaining 5% to public health. Race played a big role in passing this legislation. Black Virginians are almost 3.5 times more likely to be arrested for marijuana possession than white Virginians. Governor Northam touted that statistic, saying it's time for that to stop. He pointed to social equity as just one reason to change the laws, but for some Virginians, it could be too little, too late.
All the stuff that comes with it, fines and penalties.
This Hampton Roads man is a proud father, husband, and Navy veteran. The one thing he never thought he'd be is a felon.
I have never been in trouble a day in my life, ever. And this is the first time he ever get in trouble anywhere. And I got the book thrown at me.
Michael, as we'll call him, is telling his story anonymously. He was in his 20s when a medical condition required dialysis and a kidney transplant, and that's when he began experimenting with marijuana.
I was speaking with a nurse, and she just kind of like mentioned it to me, like, hey, you should try it.
Michael did, and he found it worked, but his choice of medicine was illegal in Virginia, and buying it on the black market proved dangerous.
You came close to losing your life?
Yeah, I had a gun drawn on me in Newport News, and the guy robbed me for $160. He could have took more than that night, and I was just happy to make it home to my wife and my son.
Police eventually caught Michael and charged him with 2 felonies, the first and only blemish on an otherwise clean record. And the judge showed leniency, opting for probation instead of prison. But those charges will stay on his record unless they're expunged.
We have to, as a system, think about how to have restorative justice.
Portsmouth Commonwealth's attorney Stephanie Morales has spent a career prosecuting criminals. Now she wants to help some of them clear their records through automatic expungements.
Now, if we're talking about legalization and we're talking about industry and opening up opportunities for people to build wealth, we cannot have that conversation without talking about expungements.
Virginia's House and Senate voted over the weekend to legalize marijuana come 2024. Their bill includes automatic expungements for people convicted of certain marijuana-related crimes. Governor Northam still has to sign the bill into law, but he's already thrown his political weight behind the measure.
Rooting out inequities includes expunging the records of people who were convicted of this and certain other crimes in the past.
For Michael, it's been several years since his arrest. His probation is now over, but his medical issues are not, and neither are the long-term consequences of living life with a felony.
Why charge me, or why still have it on my record if you're going to tax it, if you're going to regulate it, if you're going to distribute it in a state where at one point you told me it was illegal?
If your record is expunged at that point,
go back to school, further my career, and just be back to my productive life. I don't have to walk on eggshells.
And the NAACP is weighing in on legalization. In a statement, the Virginia NAACP president called the bill a step in the right direction, but he said, quote, "We stand to ensure we address the disproportionate impact that marijuana prohibition has had on black Virginians." Up next, as we wait for the governor to sign this bill, we look back at the years-long journey Virginia took to get to this point. Plus, sounding the alarm why some people worry legalization sends the wrong message to kids. And we know you have some burning questions about legalization. I have answers to a few that you asked me on Facebook.
Amory Seafood's curbside service. Fresh, local, wholesale pricing for the public. Drive up, place your order, and we'll load. Are your taste buds craving fresh seafood? Visit Amory Seafood and get 10% off fresh cut fish now until April.
Hi everybody, back on the road with BJ Worzen, owner of West Shore Home, for another on-site one-day bath remodel. Hey BJ.
Good morning, Joe. I'm super excited to show you another bath transformation today, so why don't we head right over to the bathroom and check it out. All right, Joe, so what you see here is a really typical bath that we replace. Now this is a one-piece fiberglass unit that's typically used in new construction to cut costs. And as you can see, the walls don't even make it the whole way up to the shower head, which leaves it exposed and causes mold and rot. Now these units typically have a coating on them, but only after a few short years it starts to wear off and they start to show their age and you can start to see some stains.
So BJ, this is really a routine project for your crew, a complete tear out and a full shower installation in one day.
That's right, Joe. We do thousands of these every year, and we're going to take out this old tub and replace it with an easy step-in shower for improved safety and a modern upgrade.
Can't wait to see it. Okay, the old unit is out. They made that look really easy. Time now to install a fresh new shower. Now we're talking. Take a look at this. It has a whole new feel. So fresh and so modern. I love the low step. They got the grab bar for added stability. They did a textured floor. This is beautiful and so modern. Folks, this morning this was an old bathtub. This afternoon it's a beautiful, safe step-in shower. If you've been thinking about replacing your old bath, call the number on your screen right now. Get a free quote on a bath replacement and take advantage of this great offer. Get free installation on your shower or bath project, plus make no payments and pay no interest for 12 full months. But if you call right now, you'll get no payments and no interest for 24 months, 2 full years. Don't pass this offer up. Call West Shore Home now.
For 30 years, Original Mattress Factories put our customers first, and it's no different today. We've implemented new measures to ensure your in-store and delivery experiences are safe and as comfortable as possible. All of our employees will be wearing masks, social distancing, and implementing new protocols designed to keep everyone safe. Visit your local store or originalmattress.com to experience the OMF difference for yourself. See you soon.
Amory Seafood's curbside service. Fresh, local, wholesale pricing for the public. Drive up, place your order, and we'll load. Are your taste buds craving fresh seafood? Visit Amory Seafood and get 10% off fresh cut fish now until April.
Loosening the rules on pot possession in Virginia has been a conversation more than a decade in the making. Now we're close to legalizing it.
It's simply adding one more, essentially, agricultural product into our economy.
So how did we get here? Let's go back to 2010. That was the first modern effort to decriminalize pot in the Commonwealth. Delegate Harvey Morgan introduced a bill in the General Assembly. It failed. He tried again the next year, and his bill again went nowhere. Over the next few years, more lawmakers like Delegate Steve Heretic and State Senator Louise Lucas introduced more bills to decriminalize it, legalize it, use it for medicine, or even just study what any of those things would look like. All of those efforts failed until 2017. That's when the State Crime Commission started looking into decriminalizing weed. Still, bills to actually do that failed in the General Assembly that year and for the next two. In 2020, though, everything changed. Democrats took control of the General Assembly, and along with Democratic Governor Ralph Northam, they made some headway. They passed a bill to decriminalize marijuana. They passed bills to legalize derivatives of the drug for medical use, and a legislative review committee started looking into legalization and how to regulate the drug. Then, in 2021, Governor Ralph Northam called legalization one of his top priorities for his final year in office. Lawmakers did their part, passing bills to let adults use it recreationally.
This simply says to those consenting adults who have used it for years or who want to use it in the future that, all right, if you're going to do it, this is how we're going to do it. We're going to produce it in Virginia. It's going to be a safe product. You're going to know what's in it. You're going to be able to acquire it legally, and you're going to be required to use it legally.
Now we wait for the governor to sign the historic bill and make Virginia the first state in the South to legalize pot. And still to come on Pot for Profit, not all Virginians support legalization, the consequences some people fear. Plus, closing the racial divide, how one of the biggest names in rap music is helping minority-owned pot businesses. And we know viewers like you have a lot of questions about legalization. Does it mean you can grow pot at home? And what safeguards are in place? Those answers all coming up.
Fast, flexible, career-focused. ECPI University Online.
By the year 2030, 25% of all miles will be driven by driverless cars. That's just 10 years down the road. So at Rudder Mills, we're developing legal strategies today that will win for you tomorrow. Rudder Mills, ahead of the curve.
The $2,000 Sealy Posturepedics, $2,000 Certa Perfect Sleepers, Epic Low $499, and this epic offer, your choice in any size, $499. The two best $2,000 beds in America, $499. One epic weekend at Hanes.
Love lower than low prices? Then get more ways to save at Kroger, where you can find personalized coupons, weekly deals, and rewards like fuel points. All for prices that are lower than low. On food that's fresher than fresh. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
From Window World of Tidewater, the company whose products stand the test of time, and the family who has proudly served more than 50,000 households right here in Hampton Roads. We're proud to say,
we're the Reeds, and for nearly 2 decades.
And a few generations. We've been transforming your houses to dream homes right here in Hampton Roads. Join us for a seamless remodeling experience.
So you can relax
and enjoy your beautiful, energy-efficient home.
Call us today!
When it's time to sell your home, start with a visit to howardhanna.com. Ranked the #1 real estate site for sellers. A few clicks will show you the sales price you can expect for your home. We can get you the most money in the quickest amount of time because we know where the local buyers are and how to reach them. So if it's time to sell your home, visit howardhanna.com today and we'll match you with a local Howard Hanna agent to sell your home fast.
The epic Haynes price on all the new Tempur-Pedics and Ergo Adjustables. The most highly rated, cool, pressure-free sleep. And the new watch by Apple is free. 60 months free. And free delivery, setup, and removal. Get the epic Haynes price on all the new Tempur-Pedics, and the new Apple Watch is free.
At Rudder Mills, we've been talking with car manufacturers, software developers, and infrastructure companies to develop legal strategies today that will win for you tomorrow. Because the future is right here, right now. And so are we. Rudder Mills, ahead of the curve.
Welcome back to 13 News Now special Pot for Profit, an in-depth look at Virginia's efforts to legalize recreational marijuana. Before we continue, here's Nicole Livas to fill you in on some of the day's top stories.
Hey Dan, here are 3 things to know today. Number 1, for the first time, someone under 10 in Virginia has died of COVID-19 complications. All we know is the child lived in Central Virginia and had a chronic condition. The State Department of Health won't say anything else out of respect for the family. 2 people between ages 10 and 19 have also died from the virus. Number 2, COVID-19 outbreaks are decreasing in Virginia's long-term care facilities. Staff and residents in those places were some of the first Virginians eligible for vaccines. Leaders in the industry say more than 80% of residents are now fully vaccinated. They expect outbreaks to keep on dropping. Number 3, a big and somewhat surprising endorsement today in the race for Virginia Attorney General. Governor Ralph Northam is supporting Norfolk delegate Jay Jones. Jones is facing off against current AG Mark Herring for the Democratic nomination. The governor says he likes Delegate Jones' efforts to reform criminal justice. The Democratic primary is June 8th. And those are 3 things to know today. Look for more details online and ahead on 13 News Now at 6. Dan?
Okay, Nicole, thanks. The majority of Virginians support the move to legalize marijuana. A Wasson Center poll from Christopher Newport University last month found that 68% of registered voters in the state are on board with the historic measure. But that leaves a third of Virginians still concerned. Some of them asking, is this really the healthiest and safest decision?
This is about our health. I mean, vaping and smoking, there's nothing good about inhaling that into your lungs, and especially in the midst of COVID.
Nancy Hans with the Prevention Council of Roanoke says parents are confused about what messages to send their kids about pot.
We can't talk out of 2 sides of our mouths to kids because it's very confusing.
Governor Ralph Northam says legalization will help raise tax revenues for schools while rooting out inequities. Hans says we can learn from states that have already legalized, like Colorado, Nevada, Oregon, and Washington, where one study found car crashes up 6% in those states since legalizing.
When people say you can't die from marijuana, I said that's just not true. We know that the first 2 things that will go up in data is youth usage and car crashes.
In Virginia, 90 drivers who died in 2019 tested positive for some level of THC. That's a more than 800 fatalities. The DMV reported similar numbers the year before, although the detection of THC does not necessarily mean that person was driving while impaired.
We have field sobriety tests for alcohol. Is there such a thing for marijuana? No, there is not.
Dr. Mary Crozier is a health advocate in Virginia Beach and is also worried about impaired driving.
I know when I'm at a 0.05 what the typical side effects are going to be for alcohol. We don't have any such range for marijuana.
Lawmakers addressed impaired driving in their legalization bill, making it a Class 4 misdemeanor and a $250 fine if the driver is found guilty. The state would also budget for training officers to recognize impairment. But for Dr. Crozier, that's not enough.
Some of the challenges we're seeing is that nationwide, potency levels of marijuana has increased dramatically. This is not our grandparents' marijuana anymore. Okay, this is a whole new beast we've got here.
Let's bring in Ned Oliver now. He's a journalist in Richmond at the Virginia Mercury. He's been closely following this bill and is here to give us some perspective. Ned, this bill came down to the wire Saturday, which would have been the last day lawmakers could finalize everything for the governor, and it almost didn't pass the state Senate. Per your reporting, why is that?
They really just couldn't agree on the scope of the legislation. The biggest point of contention in those final hours was whether to finalize all the regulations this year or to put placeholder language in and finish working on that next year. Ultimately, they went with the placeholder language. The debate really came down to, in the Senate, lawmakers didn't think that it was ready for prime time. They complained that they hadn't had enough time to sit with the details about things like how licenses are going to be awarded, how to treat things like illegal sales going forward. The House's perspective was really more that it's just not that complicated. Lots of states have done this. Virginia spent a year studying the issue. And yeah, they ended up going with the Senate's perspective. There were other differences. A big one that received a lot of attention since the final vote is the start date, 2024. Pretty much everyone, as this was moving through, agreed that it was reasonable to wait until 2024 to stand up a new agency, write regulations, begin licensing businesses. But the Senate really wanted to legalize possession beginning this year, arguing that it didn't make sense to keep prosecuting people for something that's about to become legal. The House won that debate pretty early on. They were really worried that it would allow the black market to flourish.
Well, and we know the governor has made legalization a priority in his final year of office. Should we expect him to amend this bill in any way or sign it as is?
Yeah, that's a big question mark right now. Northam's administration drafted the original version of this bill, but since then they've really declined to weigh in on any of the changes that lawmakers have made or been discussing, and that's honestly pretty common for them. That tends to be how they operate when the legislature is in session and then they have bills come before them. And since the General Assembly passed the bill, they've just declined to answer questions, saying they're still looking at it. And given the length of the bill, it's almost 400 pages. I tend to believe them in this case. That said, I really wouldn't be surprised if the governor ends up suggesting some changes. I think I would be more surprised if they were substantial, given the difficulty that the House and Senate had reaching an agreement.
Yeah.
I would expect more in the way of technical fixes to problems lawmakers hadn't noticed than, say, amending the bill to speed up the timeline for legalization, which is what a lot of advocates are asking for.
And his office told us in a statement he looks forward to continuing to improve this legislation. So reading between the lines there, perhaps there is more to be seen. Ned, I know we'll be following it, as will you. Ned Oliver, a journalist at the Virginia Mercury, we thank you for your insight. And still to come, we're answering some of your biggest questions about legalizing marijuana, from what this means for smoking in public to why it'll take so long to actually go into effect.
You're invited to the Rooms to Go 30th anniversary sale. Save on this stylish 6-piece living room set, just $15.99 or $25 a month interest-free, with sofa, chair, 2-piece cocktail table, and 2 end tables in your choice of color during the Rooms to Go anniversary sale.
Okay, so you're craving pizza, but how do you get it? You could use a fancy big chain app, but the pizza will taste like cardboard, and cardboard tastes bad, so that brings us to option 2, delivery apps. They seem great, but then they add on their fees, and holy crap, not so great. Plus, they deliver your pizza like this, so what the heck were all those fees for? And now that's out, and it's time for option 3, get real, authentic pizza straight from a local shop. But these guys don't have apps, so you make a phone call, shout over the kids, and ooh yeah, that tastes good. But they also misheard your order. So we thought, what if there was a fancy app that made it quick and easy to order from the best local pizzerias without the crazy fees? And so we did, and it's called Slice, and you should download it and order amazing pizza right now.
Getting around isn't as easy as it used to be. That's why we called Bath Fitter. They removed our old tub and installed a beautiful new spacious shower. Now, getting in and out is a breeze. And we have peace of mind with seamless walls that provide a watertight fit, plus their lifetime guarantee. Thanks to Bath Fitter, life is so much easier with a shower we love.
Call today and pay no interest for 90 days. Plus, receive 10% off your total purchase. Find out why Bath Fitter is the perfect fit.
There's no better place to bet the NBA than on FanDuel Sportsbook. Bet every game, all season long, with live betting from tip-off right through the final whistle. Want even more action? Try a same-game parlay. And after that final, get your winnings in as little as 24 hours. Place your first bet risk-free and get up to $1,000 back if you don't win. FanDuel Sportsbook, more ways to win.
This is a tale of two kitties. This kitty uses ordinary litter. This kitty uses pretty litter, the world's smartest cat litter, and it's delivered right to your door. Its ultra-light, super absorbent formula traps odors, and it does something no ordinary clay litter can do. Pretty Litter's color-changing crystals make it easy to monitor your cat's health, helping to avoid serious illness. She's switching to Pretty Litter. Smart move. Try Pretty Litter risk-free for 30 days. When you sign up, get free delivery. Go to prettylitter.com.
You're invited to the Rooms to Go 30th anniversary sale. Save on this contemporary bedroom set with lighted headboard, just $12.77 or $20 a month interest-free, with a complete queen bed, dresser, and mirror during the Rooms to Go anniversary sale.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the 8th wonder of the world, the flow of the century. Oh, it's timeless.
Welcome back to our Pot for Profit special. Rap mogul Jay-Z is getting in on the legal marijuana industry. He started his own cannabis line last year and just launched a $10 million fund to help minorities do the same. White people dominate the pot industry right now. According to a 2017 survey from Marijuana Business Daily, they own more than 80% of all cannabis businesses. It's one of several racial disparities surrounding the drug. The ACLU says black people are almost 4 times as likely to be arrested for a weed-related crime, even though white and black people use pot at similar rates. Jay-Z wants to level the playing field as legalization becomes more widespread.
So the idea was to create a brand, create a house of brands, and create opportunity for those that were negatively impacted by this prohibitionary era.
The fund came together as part of a multi-company business deal. The $10 million will go to minority-owned and black-owned cannabis businesses. So let's recap by answering a few questions some of you asked on Facebook regarding pot for profit. Judy asks, why are they waiting 3 years? Well, the short answer, lawmakers say it'll take a while to get a brand new regulatory agency up and running. The Virginia Cannabis Control Authority, as it'll be called, can start hiring staff this summer, and then entrepreneurs can start applying for business licenses. Pamela had this question: are these shops coming to all local cities? There is an option for cities to opt out of allowing retail stores, but it must be done by referendum by the end of next year. So you, the voter, could get a say in whether shops go up near you. Cindy wants to know what safeguards are in place. Well, lawmakers will be discussing and voting on penalties next year. The current bill recommends a misdemeanor and a fine if someone is caught driving while stoned. Police would have to see an open container of marijuana in the car, or the driver would have to appear high. The state is also budgeting to train officers on best ways to recognize impaired driving. Gary had this question: how much pot will people be allowed to grow? Well, the bill as written today would allow Virginians to grow their own pot at home, up to 4 plants per household, as long as it's for personal use. This next question comes from Brittany, and she wants to know about smoking in public. Well, according to the bill and the language in it, the first offense is a $25 fine. The second offense could end in substance abuse treatment or an education program. Third strike, and it's a misdemeanor on your record. If you're caught with more than a pound of pot, it's a felony. Lawmakers will review and vote on these penalties next year. And finally, Jessie had this question. She said, will old charges and convictions be forgiven? Lawmakers say people charged with a marijuana-related crime could petition to have their sentences modified. It also establishes criteria to seal records for marijuana offenses. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me on Facebook or Twitter. Use the hashtag #PotForProfit, and I'll do my best to answer those for you. That does it for this Pot for Profit special investigation. We thank you for tuning in. You can find more stories on the legalization of marijuana on 13newsnow.com. Just search Pot for Profit. Again, thanks for watching. I'm Dan Kennedy. 13 News Now at 6 starts right now.